This video just came out. It's been making the rounds. I've always thought this a little bit, but then after it came out, I thought about it a lot more. So this is Ice Cube with Bill Maher. And this is a guy who wrote the song F the Police. Okay. Yeah. Like, and he has a very interesting take on sort of how music is designed in certain areas and knowing full well that's going to have a negative impact. It's a little bit of a longer video because he talks kind of slow, but you know, let's go ahead and watch it.
Let's take rap music.
Let's take it.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons. So,
literally the same people?
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. So, you know, it seems really kind of suspicious, if you want to say that word, that, you know, the records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't.
Man, you know, it sounds conspiratorial, but I will tell you, I thought about this because, you know, I listened to country music growing up and rock, but you know, this is a country phase. And I can remember during that phase thinking that, you know, drinking all the time is okay. How many country folks like drive trucks and they never throw something in the back of it? Like, we can't deny that the lyrics in a song turns out being a reflection in our own lives.
Oh, heck yeah. I was a punk kid. I still listened to, like, that was like, I'm really glad now that there's Christian artists in that space because I was like a punk and metal kid. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, man, the haircuts, the clothes, the whole thing of like, it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle. Like, those things really impact and matter. And like, think about going to any concert. Like, I used to go to the Warped Tour as a kid. Mm-hmm. How did everyone dress?
Yeah.
Think about going to a rave. How does everyone dress? Think about going to any country concert. How does everyone dress? Right? Like, so it influences how we view and see ourselves, not only for the night of the concert, but also like what we associate ourselves with, right? Like, country music means like guys in pickup trucks, backwards ball caps, baseball, football, American small town, right? So then you've got rap, and rap's going to be inner city and in this way, and it's going to have like, so all of those things really, really impact. Like, I won't forget, because I lived in Detroit for a period of time, like, you know how many kids like went and got the blonde shaved head dyed job in Detroit? You know what I mean? Like, it absolutely impacts how people dress and feel and think about themselves, what's cool, what's not cool, how I'm supposed to react in this. And what I think Ice Cube's really hitting on here is the idea that the people that decide what gets played and what doesn't get played do have agendas. Now, ultimately, they want to make money. Right. But to not think that there's other strategy and thought to it would be a mistake. So I'm thankful for the rise of independent artists in SoundCloud, and I'm glad for that also in movies and TV as well, because there is some of that pushback. I mean, but at the same time, to think that there isn't an agenda being pushed, and it doesn't even have to be anything other than the world's going to act like the world, and the world's going to glorify the world and the direction that the world wants to go. Right. So when he says it's the same people that own, you know, the prisons that own the record labels, it's the idea that these people have an agenda for the world and the way they want the world to look, and how to get to happiness and how to get to power.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as, so I've done a little research on this in the past. I probably can't, I'm going to be careful with my words because I don't want to say anything inaccurate, but you know, there are just a few record labels out there that control like who hits the Billboard charts and all of that stuff, right? And so if you are, we can take the conspiracy out of it, of in terms of wanting to promote stuff that's going to do harm to people and make it all profit motive. And I think that it makes sense that, hey, like, if you have a demographic, whether it's young women or inner city kids or country folks, like whatever, you're going to create music that invokes that raw emotion, that hurt, that pain, instead of giving a positive message about overcoming adversity, about forgiveness, about things that would be fruit of the Spirit, focus on the negative, because that's going to get the most views. And also, we're going to work with all the labels and all the charts to make sure that this song's the one that goes, because we know it's going to take off, because it's going to hone in on that hurt.
Well, even in like the 60s, there were probably 400 media companies that had different radio stations. I think we're down to like the big 6 now, where it's like Cumulus, and you can go to a building and all of the different radio stations will be in the same building. They're owned by the same guy. So you have, the country station, the classic rock station, you're going to have the rap station, you're going to have easy listening. It's all owned by the same people, and they play basically the same 40 songs in rotation. And it is very much to pick the same artist the same way, instead of exploring new artists. And that's why the internet's been so helpful for people to get seen and known, because the pathways that used to exist don't really exist. The variety's not there anymore, because it used to be that you would have a station director that would go and try to find local talent and bring them on their station. So you would want to listen to that station because they had better music. They were finding different local acts, bringing their music on, and you would say, oh, I'm going to listen to that station because they keep finding really cool things. We got rid of competition. Everything came together, and they're like, we're going to do what sells for us this way, compared to having local competition. Because local competition, there was a station in Windsor across the river from Detroit that is gone now, but I loved them because they were one of the last radio stations that were trying to find new acts, new talent, bringing them in. And they had dedicated shows, like they had Canadian Exports, where they found the local guys in Ontario basically that were making it and brought them in. And it wasn't a very successful model compared to Cumulus. In the end, they got run out of town because it was the idea that you're going up against a juggernaut. There's no way for you to win. So once that consolidation started happening, it's like you said with the labels, there's not that many labels, there's not that many media conglomerates anymore.
Right.
So it's we pick who wins and who loses.
Yeah, and I mean, you said earlier, the world's going to do what the world's going to do, and I think that obviously we can expect that. I think that, though, as Christians, because it's getting so consolidated, because the messaging is always going to be antithetical to the gospel, at this point, it's just not there. I mean, there was a whole movement in like the 70s of like all these like Christian rock bands, just
the Jesus movement.
Yeah. But I mean, like I've listened to the music, like it's so solid for that time, and that took off. That was played on the radios. Now as Christians, we can't listen to the stuff that's being promoted on YouTube or Spotify, the top songs and in the world, because like it all has an agenda. It's to make money, and the best way to make money is to prey on the hurt that people have,
or the party aspect of it,
or
right?
the party aspect.
So it is really fast, really lustful love. It is partying, or it's heartbroken. And I bet you I could take about 90% of the songs on the radio and put them in those 3 buckets really, really easy.
Yeah.
Really quick.
No. You're right. And I mean, again, if you normalize it, then you stop feeling convicted about, oh, well, everybody does that. Well, everybody's drinking every night. Everybody's having sex all the time.
This is how love is supposed to work.
Right.
And, we come to the realization that that's just not it.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful. I hope at the end we'll list a bunch of artists in different genres that are really helpful in that space, because I got a bunch on deck that's really helped me. And that's been the really great rise of social media for those artists and YouTube for those artists, but they're not going to get promoted on the mainstream.
No.
Yeah.
No, they're not. All right. So if you like that video, you can watch another one right here. And if you want to see the full podcast, you can click right here. And as always, 25% of all proceeds go to missions, and you can always check us out, disciples.us.